since Miss Hart has been out of Eric's life. Anybody that has ever advocated that I ignore the court's order and just let her see him again and let them come back, because the court order was that they have no contact.
Watching them kind of get to know each other and have very fun, playful conversations has been a very positive thing. I know Miss Hart is anxious to get to in-person visitation. We talked about that a little bit. I still want to continue with the recommendation that we use a timeline and a bracketed a scaffolding system to get her there. She's doing all the right things. Her tests are still coming in. But I think giving Eric that time to sort of, especially as he's transitioning back home after being away at a grandparent's for quite a few weeks, I think it'll be good to kind of give him that transition time. We all involved in this case know that Eric needs gentle, slow transitions. Fast, abrupt transitions could have a pretty negative impact, I think, given his history. And so allowing those things to happen at a slow rate of pace, while I know it might feel tedious, I think will be definitely important. My main concern is that collateral witnesses that have spoken with me, grandparents, in our last hearing, Mr. Hart stated that there was no one in Miss Hart's world who he would trust, even people who he's known for years and years and stated to trust in the past, to help with visitation. I just have concerns about those things being blocked.
And I'm just looking here. Are you, Ms. Call, at this point recommending that we do any sort of ramp up of visitation, or kind of status quo for another few weeks and set a review date?
I think status quo for another few weeks, and that's not because of behavior on Miss Hart's part. I think that has to do with giving kiddo the time to adjust to being back home. I think there's going to be some summer school this summer. I think coming back and having a transitions to Eric need to happen at a certain pace, and I think giving him time to do that slowly is a good recommendation to have.
Okay. And then I just, and again, in going through the, lengthy history of this case, I just want to make sure, and I may have missed it. I know back in May, Commissioner Nelson had ordered hair follicle test, mental health eval for father. Is that something that we're still waiting on, or should I have that?
His hair follicle test came back clean. I'm not sure if he filed it with the court or not. He did send me a copy of that. He also had a mental health evaluation, which he has stated to me came back with no concerns and no recommendations. I have yet to see a document from the facility in which he had that done. I don't believe he's filed anything with the court yet. If I'm wrong about that, I'm happy to own that, but I don't believe anything's been filed in that regard.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I know what we're working towards is creating some permanency for both of you. And that is my ultimate goal, is not just to have you come back for reviews and make changes, but ultimately the goal is to get you guys to a point where we're at a kind of leveling off period where we think that there's some parenting decisions we can make and put in place, and father has some finality and mother has some finality and kiddo has some finality. So that is my goal here. I don't think we're quite there yet. So I think what we should do is set another review date, check in about video visitation again, since that's just been going on for 2 weeks. And like Ms. Call stated, kiddo coming back, entering school, getting back in a routine. And then Mr. Hart, at that next review, I would like to have some, either file it under seal with the court or provide to Ms. Call the mental health evaluation, just so there's.
I've signed her release that she sent me immediately upon getting it.
Okay.
And sent it back to her. I asked her to let me know when she got it, and she let me know that I wasn't paying her bill anymore and that she was out of hours for me. Right. So I'm not sure if the county pays her less.
Right. So what I'm asking for the next review is that you have signed that release of information. Yes. So if you have the mental health evaluation.
I don't.
Okay. So I'm gonna put a little bit of burden on you just to get a copy of that from the provider and get it to Ms. Call. Okay.
Okay. Is that not the signing the release that she sent me? Does that not cover it? Or is it just because they probably haven't done that yet? I can call and ask them if that's what's going on.
So I'm today asking you to get a copy of that eval and either file it under seal with the court. Cause I'm not going to send a request I'm not going to track down a mental health eval. So, so you would file it under seal with the court. There's a cover sheet called sealed personal healthcare records. Okay. File that with the court if you want to get it to me. The other option I'm giving you by our next review date is just to get a copy of it to Ms. Call. So either one will work fine for me for the next review. Okay. How far out are we thinking?
I think it depends on how quickly we get that mental health evaluation. It seems like if it's been done and it's been done for a while, it should come back pretty quickly. One of the things I'd really like to address, Your Honor, if we're able, is some kind of, can we have some expectation from Mr. Hart that he can provide somebody who he would feel comfortable doing some supervised visitation with? I know he's really hesitant about anybody in Miss Hart's world, but I'd like to have a plan in place so that we can move towards that.
Yeah. I think that is a good plan. And Mr. Hart, I don't want to put you on the spot today, but I do think next, hold on one sec, Mr. Hart. The next ramp up for visitation is going to be some sort of supervised in-person visitation. So my other homework piece for you is by our next review date to have brainstormed some folks that you would be comfortable with doing that. There is supervised visitation, but that costs money. And I think if the parties have a person that's willing to do it, I think you both are going to be happier.
I have a statement about that. I've thought about that this entire 3 weeks. Anybody that has ever, since Miss Hart has been out of Eric's life, anybody that has ever advocated that I ignore the court's order and just let her see him again and let them come back, because like the court order was that they have no contact. Right. That was okay. And everybody in her life, from Melissa, her cousin Tori, I mean, the only people that are in her life that I still trust is her brother Michael, Eric's aunt that is married to her brother Michael, and her mom. They all live in Nevada. I don't hang out with anybody that I used to hang out with when I was married to Catherine. It's not the same person. And
sir, hold on.
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that's willing, and that's why
Sir,
that's why I asked for the supervised visit with the professional, because I don't know anybody that's willing to, and I don't, and I can't trust anybody that's.
Mr. Hart, stop talking. I am trying to talk to you. Okay.
My phone is going off. I didn't hear you. Sorry. I'm very sorry.
So here's the deal. It doesn't have to be someone that knows the both of you. If you want to give me a proposal of someone you know that you would be comfortable with, let's start talking about those names. I'm asking you to brainstorm some of those names. Otherwise, I feel like my hands are tied. We'll do supervised visitation, but you'll be paying that cost, because I do think you are the roadblock to that right now.
Okay.
So the next review date, let's set, are folks comfortable with 2 weeks out, or do they want 3 weeks out?
I will be out of town the 25th through the 28th.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm comfortable with the 2nd. I'm pretty booked up, but beyond that, I can be open. The 9th might be perfect.
Yeah, let's do August 9th, which is 3 weeks out, if that works for the parties. And my other thought is, I think we're initially here on an adequate cause motion that's got to get ruled on eventually, and we'll have to decide the permanent parenting plan. This could be a case that we potentially send to mediation if we find that we're at a roadblock here. So Mr. Hart, I just really encourage you to rack your brain about folks that you would be comfortable with in that role initially. So if not, I only have so many tools in my toolbox to offer. And if the parties aren't going to agree on it, then ultimately I eventually have to make a decision about supervised visitation and who pays for it. Okay. I don't know. Mr. Hart, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
My internet's not working.
Okay, might have frozen. Do the parties have any questions for me about the expectations of what the court will have received by August 9th?
I don't, Your Honor. I do have one thing I wanted to bring up to the court though today.
Okay.
So we were requested to sign up for the Our Family Wizard app.
Yes.
And I did that 3 weeks ago. And Eric and I have been talking for 3 weeks now on the video chats, but I haven't found that Curtis has signed up for the Our Family Wizard yet. And I contacted their customer service yesterday just to make sure I had provided the correct email and everything for him. And they said that they had sent him an invitation email, but they have not received any paperwork or anything from him yet to get that started up on his end. And I want to make sure Eric flew home yesterday evening. And I want to make sure that our phone calls, our video chats are going to continue as they have been now that he's back home. And a concern with that is I understand Curtis had his mom block me on Facebook. And so I have no way to communicate with his grandparents that he actually lives with. And so I want to know what the plan is going to be for that so we can keep our videos going.
My mom has had the same number for 20, 30 years. Well, Catherine still should have.
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, just hold on a second, folks. We're going to talk through me, not to each other. So, right. Mr. Hart, just kind of step by step, are you, do you still have an invitation link to Our Family Wizard?
I do, and I just don't have money for it. We wanted a whole year's worth of payment up front, and I don't have money for it. I can totally, if like whatever the court tells me to do, I'm 100% going to do it. I'm not going to be trying to get contempt or not follow the court's orders. Like my mom has the same phone number. Like we have Zoom. There's plenty of ways. She does not need to have access to my mom's Facebook and everything that my mom.
I'm not worried about Facebook.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna be a burden to their communication at all. Like I've hoped that she has been taking the steps that she's taken for this entire time because of the detriment to my son that it's been taken.
Sir.
Like she can just call or text.
Okay, so sir, what we're asking you here today is how are video communications going to continue now that kiddo is back?
We can just do Zoom.
Your Honor, can I?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Call.
Yeah, so Mr. Hart, there is a fee waiver that you can apply for, which is actually how Miss Hart got the app because she was in the same situation. So if you go into that invite that they sent you, there should be information regarding a fee waiver so that you can present your financials and get the app without cost so that you can. I still believe the best communication between these two people would be through that app where it's recorded. We can see everything. They can calendar talks.
Yes.
Yeah. When I was originally told
hold on, Mr. Hart.
Mr.
Hart, hold on. Okay. The order in the court file is that you folks use Our Family Wizard. We're not switching to Zoom. It doesn't have the same safeguards. Our Family Wizard is used by family law courts across the country for very specific reasons because of those safeguards and checks. So the order does require Our Family Wizard. So whoever is with kiddo that's going to be involved in those video contacts needs to have Our Family Wizard.
Okay. I had just tried to get it by myself, like through the app store when you guys originally told me, and that's where it showed up with the fee. Like I didn't, so that's why that happened. I thought the invitation was being sent like automatically from the company because I started trying to sign up, and then when it asked for the fee, I was just like, oh.
And I want to be clear. I don't want to see this whole week go by and there isn't video visitation because there's talk about I couldn't get the app and I want that needs to be a priority. I don't want those video communications to drop off this week because of technology. So make that a priority once you log off today and get that going. I will review that at our next hearing. Go ahead.
What days was she talking? Like what it's 2 days a week, right? I just want to know which days, like we can, is that appropriate to discuss that here to make sure it happens? Like, because it doesn't really matter to me.
Ms. Hart, how were you scheduling those when kiddo was away?
It was kind of changing a little bit just because of Ms. Call's schedule at the time. But Tuesdays and Fridays at 2, at least for now until school resumes or he starts his summer classes or whatever he has going on there. So Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 via Zoom, because our Family Wizard does not have a video chat option. So that's why we had to go to Zoom. So I have that all set up. And I can somehow get Curtis the meeting ID and such that he needs to be able to log on if he wants to do Friday at 2.
I see. So you're using our Family Wizard to schedule the times and
Yes,
then switching over to Zoom for the actual calls.
right. So all the
Okay.
scheduling and messaging, any sort of other communication other than the video chats between Eric and I, any communication between Curtis and I, or even his parents need to be over that app.
Okay.
And it's free for family members to join in on it. So once Curtis gets his fee waiver approved, it takes 3 to 5 business days to get that done and approved. But once he gets that done, then we can add his parents or whoever else that needs to be on it. They can be on it as well, so they can see scheduling and all the cool features that it has.
Okay. So so Mr. Hart, it sounds like you know what you need to do now to get our Family Wizard downloaded so you can resume those video communications this week. It doesn't need to be Tuesday and Friday, but it does need to be something that all the parties can agree to time-wise and up to 2 times a week. I'm going to set August 9th for the review of video visitation, mental health evaluation, review, and then we'll start talking about the plan from there as far as increasing supervised to supervised visitation, if we can think of someone. What I will say though is Ms. Cole or Ms. Hart or even Mr. Hart, if we run into issues where because of someone's lack of downloading an app or communicating, if we are not having video visitation for a whole week, I will hear this on next week's docket. So I think what I'll just do is, Ms. Call, if you get wind that this is an issue, I will have my judicial assistant reach out to Ms. Hart and Mr. Hart and have you guys on next week to address that.
And Your Honor, because that fee waiver takes 3 to 5 days, I'm happy to help mediate that conversation. If the parties want to communicate, send me dates, the times they're available, I'm happy to mediate that until we get the app in place. Because I believe Mr. Hart when he says if he just needs the time to get that set up. I believe him. I know that he'll do that. So.
Great. I appreciate that. So Mr. Hart, you have a resource with Ms. Call to help arrange that for this week. And then hopefully the fee waiver will be in place.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else right now? Otherwise, we'll see you guys back on August 9th at 9 a.m. We'll do supervised visitation, but you'll be paying that cost.